Once in a while, something comes along that sends your life in a totally new direction. It's like a plot twist that divides the story of your life into two big chapters, before and after. There was before you read that life-changing book, and after. Before you met that amazing person, and after. Maybe it's the before and after of stepping onto a surfboard for the first time. A couple years ago, I discovered something that has changed everything for me in a before and after kind of way. It's a daily practice that has helped me become more peaceful and present. It's helped me work through anxiety, and it's just kind of making me a better person in 1,000 little ways every day. That practice is meditation. I think sometimes people aren't sure what exactly meditation is. I'm talking to you, Dad. There's this idea that it's a mystical experience. But for me, meditation is actually super practical. Think of it this way. If you're human, which I'm hoping you are, you have thoughts and you have emotions. And if you're me, you have even more. That means you have moments of fear and moments of joy, frustrations and fantasies. It means maybe you're living under some stress or with some anxiety. It means your mind spends time dwelling on the past and worrying about the future. And it means you've got this love inside, this energy that you want to share with the world, and sometimes you're not sure what to do with it. Life can feel messy, and it can feel miraculous. So how do I know you experience all this stuff? Or something kind of like it? Because again, you're human. You have thoughts, and you have emotions. Consciousness can be a complicated place for all of us. Meditation is just a skill set to navigate that experience. The experience of being human. It's almost like a training program to become more self-aware, to regulate intense emotions, to work on those little destructive tendencies we all have, to cultivate gratitude, and to live life in the present moment, which is where life is actually happening. These days, I'm meditating every day and trying to just be mindful in my life. I'm learning how to create a better relationship with myself and how to be a better person to the people around me. As I've worked on these skills, a lot of what I've learned I discovered right here on Calm. Honestly, this app has been a huge support to me. And that's why I wanted to partner with Calm. With this collaboration, I'm hoping to share the tools of mental wellness with as many people as we can. We're launching a bunch of free mental health resources online. And I also created this wisdom series to share the story of my own journey with meditation. Shout out to LeBron, because I heard his and it was great. I don't want you to take this as me dropping knowledge, okay? I don't really know anything. But what you're going to find in these sessions is just stories and perspective from my life and from my heart. So I'm not here with big ideas about how you should live your life, okay? I'm figuring out my own life. I don't even know how to make guacamole without it getting super clumpy. So take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt. I'm just a person on a path, and there's nothing I'm going to say in these sessions that I don't need to say to myself every day. Mindfulness has given me some peace that I didn't really have before, and I just want to pass it along to you. I want to share it. But this wisdom series isn't just about mindfulness. We're going to talk about life and some of the highs and lows I'm having these days. So I guess it's time to get this journey started. Get ready for the story of my very first audition and the very last social media comment I ever read. I'll be sharing some thoughts on happiness, gratitude, and creative breakthrough. And since I'm kind of feeling like a tour guide over here, I should probably mention that this tour bus will be making stops at Rockefeller Plaza, the state of Nebraska, and the planet of the unicorns. Not necessarily in that order. I'm super stoked you're doing this with me. This is Camila Cabello, and this is Breathe Into It. Title: Skills of the Mind. Don't love that. Alternative title: How to Navigate Your Mind. Alternative title: Camila is getting a little neurotic about titles. Oh, I got it. Title: Mind Skills. I want to share a memory with you. It isn't super clear, but let me try to paint this picture. I was in my bedroom in LA, sitting on a little chair in the corner of the room. There was a lazy light coming in through the window, and I was about to do something I'd never done before. I'm sitting there with these anxious thoughts racing through my mind, like a hurricane swirling around in my brain. And it was so intense I couldn't just sit still and be with myself. Literally, it felt totally uncomfortable to do the most natural thing a person can do, sitting quietly for a few minutes. I had been in a really stressed and anxious place for a while, years actually, and I was starting to realize that, okay, this isn't working for me. This is not a sustainable way to live. And I decided that if I want things to improve, I need to do the work. A lot of people I know had recommended meditation, and it was time to try it. So I sat down, closed my eyes, and started to tune into my breath. I'd been breathing every moment of my life up until that point, but honestly, I think this was the first time I actually paid attention to the experience of breathing. It actually felt uncomfortable. I was so used to rushing and worrying, the sheer act of doing nothing in silence and listening to myself breathing. It almost felt like this radical experience. But I stuck with it for 10 minutes, and all I did was struggle to follow my breath. Minute after minute, breath after breath. I could not stop thinking. When I finished, I wasn't even sure what just happened. I still felt anxious. The hurricane was still swirling around in my mind. But there was a little moment of something. Like in those 10 minutes, there were a few seconds of clarity. And I had the sense it was something I needed more of. So I committed to making it a daily practice. I came back the next day, and the next day. I tried working with different guided meditations and different instructors, and I started to get more comfortable sitting there all alone in silence. As the days went on, I started to gradually develop a whole new skill, and it's one that has totally transformed my life. It's the skill of observing your own thoughts and emotions. For me, this was like a groundbreaking revelation. Some meditation teachers call it non-identification. It means that I have thoughts, but I am not my thoughts. I remember at one point I was sitting there meditating, and I had the thought, what am I doing sitting here? And then I just separated from that thought and observed it. I thought to myself, okay, I'm having thoughts questioning what I'm doing. And that made me feel a little silly. Like maybe I wasn't doing this meditation thing right. So I observed that feeling. Okay, I'm doing a strange activity and feeling a little weird. And then I started to become aware of other things I was experiencing, what I was thinking and feeling. I realized that I was observing my thoughts and emotions, which gave me a little sense of accomplishment. Like I was learning a whole new way of relating to myself. So I observed that emotion. Okay, I'm feeling a bit of pride for developing my self-awareness. Oh wait, never mind. Now I'm feeling lame about how proud I was for developing my self-awareness. Here we are our whole lives, experiencing our experience. But it's so rare that we just take one step back from it and look at it. Sometimes my daily meditation connects to something deeper. Maybe I'm going through something, and my meditation helps me connect to those emotions. Other days, my meditation is just to check in with myself. Where are my emotions? Where are my thoughts? How's my body feeling? It's like the weather report on my mind and heart and body. Gives me a quick read. I'm feeling anxious about something coming up later. I'm holding tension in my face or my shoulders. I'm dwelling on a conversation I had last night where I didn't express myself as assertively as I wanted. I'm feeling a bit tender because I saw a news story earlier that made me upset. Before I started working on these skills, I had no idea you could separate from the weather and just look at the satellite imagery. I was just stuck in the hurricane. It's stepping back to an objective point of view and reminding myself that these are just anxious thoughts. They're not rational. These are just anxious sensations in my body. They will pass. This is Camila. Thanks for being with me. This is Camila, and today you're going to step into the ring for the fight of your life. Early on in my childhood, I grew up between Mexico City and Havana. My mom and dad were young parents struggling to get by, but making it work. My mom had this dream of moving to the United States to start a new life. She was like, I have to do this. And eventually, when I was 7 years old, my mom brought me across to Miami. My dad couldn't come with us right away. He stayed in Mexico for a while and joined us a year later. He literally had to cross a river to get over to the United States. My mom studied architecture back in Cuba. But when we moved to Miami, her education didn't carry the same weight. So to make ends meet, she took a job selling shoes at Marshall's. What's amazing about my mom is that No matter what she's doing, she does it to the best of her ability. Her attitude was like, hey, I'm happy just to be in this country and to be earning a living. One day, while my mom was at work, these two women came into the store. They were both from Cuba, and my mom started chatting with them. One of them mentioned that her son was an architect. She asked my mom if she knew how to use a software program called AutoCAD, or like my mom said, AutoCAD. She actually didn't, but she said that she did. That led to a new opportunity. And slowly, my mom and my dad stepped into the life she'd envisioned. The dream she had for us and for our family. Julia Cameron said, "Leap and the net will appear." I guess that's what my parents did. My mom left everything she knew, everything that was familiar, for some distant dream of the life she wanted. Then she takes a new job she's not fully trained for, and she just applies herself and figures it out. I was too young to understand it at the time, but this took some guts. My mom has always been strong about fighting for herself, and always in the kindest way possible, always in a way that respects other people, but also in a way that honors her own path. My mom and I are basically best friends. She's a very short Latin lady. I call her Tiny Mom sometimes. When she smiles, it's 1,000,000 megawatts. She radiates that mom-level warmth that seems like a force of nature or something. And Papa, if you're listening, I wrote a whole song about you, so don't get jealous. You know how much I love you. When she shows up somewhere, her first order of business is to hug every person on the premises. Not great in COVID times. She loves to watch thriller movies and horror movies, and she loves to read. She'll often give me a book she's just finished and it's all dog-eared and highlighted. My mom also happens to be one of the wisest people I know. We go on a lot of walks together at night. We just walk around the house and talk about whatever I'm feeling, whatever I'm going through, and she's a really good sounding board. For the past few years, I've become really interested in growing as a person. I've been reading a lot of books, using apps like Calm, and meditating every day. What's crazy is that every time I discover a new insight or teaching, I realize that it's something my mom just knows intuitively. And it's super annoying. I'm like, damn, how do you know all this stuff? I've learned so much from my mom. She taught me to have gratitude for every little thing in my life. She taught me how important it is to always do the right thing, no matter what. But there's one thing she taught me in particular that has always stuck with me. I can still hear her saying this to me, almost like she's right here in the room with me. Which she's not, but she's next door. She would say, "Camilita, you have one life, and it's your responsibility to fight for your own happiness." This might seem obvious, but if it's such an obvious rule of life, why is it so hard to abide by it? Why are we so often waiting for outside circumstances or people to make us happy? Even in a relationship, a really healthy relationship, you can't depend on your partner to make you happy. Happiness is always an inside job. Nobody else is going to eat well and drink water for you. Nobody else is going to meditate for you. Other people can love and support you. They can believe in you and help you get back up when you fall. And that's fantastic and important. But they can't do it for you. Even the people who love you most can't decide what path is right for you. Nobody can fight for your dreams, except you. I'm trying to remember that I don't always have to fight for happiness at all. Sometimes I just need to choose it. Like my parents did, back when they were still a few steps away from their dreams and goals. What that means is that there's really nobody else to blame. Which is actually a really freeing thing because you, and only you, are responsible for your own happiness. This thing called you, it's your deal. Take a look in the mirror and check it out. There's nobody else looking back at you. It's your life, which means it's your fight. So keep fighting that happy battle, stoic warrior. This is Camila. Thanks for doing this thing with me. Hey guys, my name is Camila, and this is the story of how I got it. When I was a kid, I was unbelievably shy. If there was any attention on me, I would curl up into a ball of embarrassment. When it was my birthday and everyone turned to sing happy birthday to me, I would literally start crying. I just could not handle the attention. When I started kindergarten, something happened that stuck with me for like 10 years. Literally. I showed up for the first day of school, all shy and nervous, with a fresh little haircut, it was a little bob, and a book bag that was bigger than I was. When the teacher looked down at my name on the list of new students, she saw my full name. Carla Camila Cabello Estrabao. I know, I've read novels with the lower word count. Here's the thing, okay? My legal first name is Carla. Camila is my middle name. But my whole life, everybody has always called me Camila. At home with my family and friends, I've always been Camila. And with my family, Camila, or Camilita. The teacher looks at my name on the list and she says, "Welcome, Carla." And the thing is, I was too shy to correct her. The other kids started calling me Carla, and I was too timid to say, "Actually, guys, that's not really my name." So it just stuck. After that, I was known as Carla. Years went by. First grade, second grade, and I just kind of accepted it. It almost felt like I was in a box, like it was a character I was playing, and I got typecast as Carla the shy girl. But all those years, I never liked the name Carla. It just wasn't me. Years later, when I was 15 years old, I got the chance to step closer to the real me. I noticed there was an audition coming up in North Carolina for the TV show, X Factor. If you're not familiar, X Factor is a competitive singing show. It's launched the careers of some big artists like One Direction. Growing up, singing was a huge part of my life. All I'd done since I was little was sing songs that I loved. It was pure joy for me. So when I saw that X Factor audition, it kind of lit a spark of motivation. I didn't even think I could win the competition. I just wanted to make it past the audition. My family couldn't believe it. They were like, hold up. You've never sang in front of us. You've never sang in front of anyone, ever. And suddenly you're gonna audition for a huge competition on national television? Yeah, I get their point. You have to understand, I wasn't like some of those artists who sang around the house as a kid. I was way too shy for that. Once when I was little, my grandma wanted to hear me sing. But the vulnerability of someone seeing me sing made me so freaked out that in order to get through it, I asked her to hide in a closet so I could sing from outside the closet. Yep, that's the only way I could cope with singing in front of an audience. An audience of one person who I already knew loved me, who was a grandma. From my family's perspective, this X Factor audition was a surprise. They knew I loved to sing, but they were surprised that I was willing to put myself out there like that when I couldn't even sing in front of them. And they were right. It was a little crazy. But sometimes when there's a spark, even a crazy one, you gotta follow it. So I practiced that audition song like my life was on the line, and this song was gonna save me. Respect by Aretha Franklin. For weeks, I would go over the song, creating my own vocal arrangement, playing around with different melodies and riffs to make it mine. Finally, the time comes. My whole family packs into the car. My mom, dad, sister, and my grandma, who I made hide in the closet years before. We drove 12 hours to Greensboro, North Carolina. In the car ride, I'm listening to my song on repeat, just practicing and going over the riffs I'd come up with. At this point, this song is almost becoming part of my body, which is what I wanted. I was literally listening to it over and over, hoping that my muscle memory would take over if I passed out in front of the judges. You know, gotta have a plan B, right? What I love about my family is, well, the love. They were super encouraging. It was like a little family adventure. But the fact that I was auditioning for a singing show, it was a big surprise to them. No one thought this was gonna amount to anything. Before long, we showed up at the venue, and the experience was almost dreamlike. It was a blur of nervous-looking faces and official-looking people telling me to wait over here and stand over there. They bring me into an outdoor waiting area, right? I'm in the middle of this sea of people, all of them waiting to be called in to audition for the judges, and there's a nervous energy in the air. People are pacing, warming up their vocals, and texting their friends. I'm guided over to a table where there are a couple of producers for the show. They asked me to fill out a few forms to confirm details from my audition, like my age and hometown. And then they asked me to confirm my name. See, the form had a space for my legal name and my artist name. Your legal name is your legal name. You know, that long one that I said earlier. But your artist name could be whatever you want, like Lady Gaga, which I assume is her artist name unless she had, like, the coolest parents of all time. At that point, I just paused for a second, staring down at the form where it says artist name with a blank space beside it. And I realized something. I looked across the crowd of people and I'm like, none of these people have any idea who I am or what I'm like. All these years I've been in this box, the Carla box, the girl too shy to be herself box. But this is a new day, a new moment, and I'm standing here 1,000 miles from home, about to step on stage and try something I've never done before. The producer's waiting, and I'm just staring at that blank line. I'd never had that choice before of, what do you want people to call you? I scribbled down my name, and I signed the form. Next came another blur of nervous-looking faces and official-looking people. And soon, a producer is guiding me backstage because it's almost time. Here's the thing about on stage versus backstage. On stage is big smiles, lights, and glamour, right? Backstage is wires, concrete, and production assistants rushing around looking stressed with their clipboards. It's not exactly a warm and reassuring place. So I'm backstage, waiting to be called, and my legs are barely supporting my body at this point. I am a cosmic ball of nervousness that is about to collapse under its own gravitational force. From where I'm standing, I can't really see the stage or the judges. All I can see is a sliver of the stage area, and it's all lit up like a beam of light. I'm feeling 1,000 things all at once, kind of in a daze of manic energy. But then I hear someone say something. "Camila," she said, "you're on." So I step out onto the stage and turn to face the judges, smiling like I can't believe where I am or what I'm about to do, and I'm gonna pass out. I'm so nervous, I'm shaking. Britney Spears is looking back at me, and there's Demi Lovato right next to her. I mean, these are my heroes, and I'm standing there, a 15-year-old kid awake inside her own dream. I realize it's time to perform, and the nerves are overwhelming. I'm literally not far from collapsing, and I see black dots like I'm about to pass out, but I could feel something inside. It was faint, but I could feel it in there somewhere, a tiny, glowing little spark of belonging on that stage. They ask you to introduce yourself to the judges and say where you're from. I said, "My name is Camila Cabello." Saying that name connected with something deep. It felt so good. It felt like me. I took a breath, and then I connected with something I had done my whole life, all alone in my bedroom with the door closed and the blinds down, and my grandma in the closet. Just kidding. That was just once. Something I knew was part of the essence of who I am. Something that was pure joy. I'm not going to tell the story of how I survived the X Factor audition, made it into the boot camp, and then got cut in the next round of auditions. I'm not going to tell the story of how I got called back to audition with 4 amazingly talented girls, which became a life-changing opportunity to join the group Fifth Harmony. It's a cool story, but it's not this story. This story began on the first day of kindergarten, and it ended the moment I stepped onto that stage as Camila Cabello. I don't know what this means for you, but I know we all get boxed into our boxes. Sometimes, the world can define us before we have the chance to define ourselves. After some time goes by and you've always been known a certain way, you just believe it. But you don't have to. Maybe this is a chance to examine the boxes you're in and the things you want to share with the world but haven't yet. Try asking yourself, with total compassion and just curiosity, what's holding you back? Are you worried about what people will think? Are you afraid of failure or maybe success? Or maybe you're afraid of being seen and then the truth will be out that you're totally weird. P.S. Mid-20s lesson, weird is the best. We are all weird, either secretly or freely in public. I'm aiming for the second. I was all of those things and more. I still deal with that stuff. But I saw the chance to start over, to start a new chapter, which I'm learning that I guess you do a bunch of different times in your life. I was like, I'm introducing myself to the world. I'm going to be who I am at my essence. This is my name, and this is who I am. And you can do that anytime. I think for a lot of us, there's a gap between who we are inside and how the world perceives us. Well, the world doesn't know who you are yet, but you do. At some point, you gotta let him know. Now I'm actually working on pronouncing my name as Camila, the way that my family always called me, instead of Camila the Americanized way. It's another part of really reclaiming my identity, saying my name how my family said it instead of how my teacher said it. That concludes our session for today, good-looking people. I can't see you, but I just know you're good-looking. I also can't smell you, but I have a feeling you smell fantastic. This is Camila, or now, Camila. Hugs and love. Be joyful, be vulnerable, and when the time comes, take a breath and say your name. Hello there, glorious creatures. This is Camila, and today we're gonna do a little exercise. It might feel weird, but what the hell? It's just you and me here. If you have a pen and paper handy, grab it. If not, just imagine a pen and paper in your mind's eye. Okay. Take your pen and draw a tiny, tiny circle right in the middle. Now, way outside of it, draw another circle, a much bigger one. So you've got a circle within a circle, like a pimple in the middle of a basketball. What have we got here? Well, the inner circle represents everything in your life that's within your control. The outer circle is everything outside your control. A few years back, a friend of mine recommended a book called Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday. It's about Stoic philosophy. I loved it, and since then I've read Ryan's other books. Stoicism has really impacted my life. It's a set of ideas that originated a couple thousand years ago in ancient Rome, all about self-control and living with virtue. The Stoics say, focus on what you can control and accept what you can't. Look at your circle within a circle and ask yourself, what goes in the inner circle? What do you actually control? For me, I gotta be honest, it's almost nothing. I don't control people. I don't control their actions or perceptions. I can't control traffic or the weather or the price of avocados, and I sure as hell can't control my dog. Otherwise, he would jump onto my bed and wake me up licking my face at 10 a.m., not 5 a.m. Life is more pimple than basketball. But there is one important thing that fits into my inner circle. I control pretty close to nothing, but I can control how I react to almost anything. My career got started at a young age. I auditioned for the show X Factor when I was 15, and before I knew it, I had this whole career happening. In many ways, I couldn't believe it. Before that, I had never performed in front of people before. Now my music is out there in the world, and some people like it. I remember going onto Twitter and YouTube and just being amazed that people were talking about me. There's YouTube comments, there's tweets, and I was like, oh my God, let me see what people are saying. Look, it feels good when people show love. I couldn't get over the fact that someone from Anchorage, Alaska liked my riffs. But with the love comes the not-so-love. Growing up, I was super shy. But now I'm thrown into this spotlight. Shows and appearances are part of my life. And one of my favorite parts of all this was doing interviews. It was a chance to be a little more outgoing and explore a new side of my personality. Instead of being this shy kid, I got to be silly and spontaneous and weird. But then one day I came across a comment on a YouTube video about an interview I'd done. The comment was basically, oh my God, Camila Cabello is so annoying. And I was like, that doesn't feel amazing. Then I scroll down a little further and I see it again. And this time the word is staring back at me. Annoying. It was like a scene in a movie when someone says something devastating and the other character hears it echoing in their head. Camila Cabello, you are annoying, annoying, annoying. The truth is, it got to me. I know I'm supposed to be thick-skinned, but it hurt. And I think it hurts more because in that interview, I was showing the real me. And that, my friends, was the last time I ever read anything about myself online. Seriously, since that day. No tweets, no comments, nada. It's just not healthy for me to hear that stuff. I realized that it was going to stop me, consciously or subconsciously, from being myself. I decided if I'm staying true to myself and if I'm doing the right thing, I honestly don't care what anybody else thinks. No matter what you're trying to do, someone out there is going to talk about it. I don't care if you're a stockbroker or a bus driver. Literally, you could decide to live your entire life off the grid, doing nothing in a cabin in the woods, and that would probably go viral. Someone would find it super annoying that you sit in your cabin all day. #CabinGate. Someone is going to criticize you or your work, and you'll have to decide what to do with that information. Do you let it get to you? My thing is, I don't want to be sitting in some interview and change my behavior because Spider-Cat 1992 thinks I'm annoying in interviews. I want to be the meest version of me and let people decide. If they vibe with it, great. If not, that's cool too. If it's not in my inner circle, I'm trying not to pay attention. That stuff is going to get inside my head and it's going to affect my peace. And that's what I'm going for in this life. Peace. That's the state I'm trying to cultivate. That's the energy I want to put out into the world. That's how I'm going to create my best music and be the best friend and daughter and sister to those I love. There's a quote that I love by an ancient Stoic named Epictetus, and it goes, "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgments about them." I can't control what people say about me. What I can control is who I am, my actions, and my character. The truth is, it's totally freeing to not care what people think. I'm free to take risks and make mistakes. So you might as well just focus on being the youest you. And then whoever wants to be your friend, at least you know they're your friend for you, and not some fake, non-annoying version of you. Now go back to your cabin in the woods and have yourself a ball. And don't listen to Spider-Cat 1992. Be the youest you. One day I'll visit and we can be annoying together. This is Camila, wishing you peace. Now and always. What up, guys? Camila here, and this is the story of how I finally said no to saying no, which is a weird way of saying that I learned how to say yes. It was autumn in New York, and I was going through a rough patch. I was in my hotel room, sitting on the bed, and I was staring at something that was resting on the dresser. It was this picture of me as a young girl, and I'm smiling in it, and I'm probably 5 or 6 years old. And that picture had kind of a special meaning for me. I looked so just kind of innocently happy in that picture, and it made me feel like, oh, I gotta watch out for that girl. It was a way of connecting with my journey and where I've come from. But as I sat there, I wasn't connecting with anything. I was in a state of pretty intense anxiety. Later that night, I was performing on Saturday Night Live. And I was so anxious about the performance, on top of the anxiety I was already feeling, I didn't think I'd even be able to leave the hotel room. This was a phase in my life when everything was moving really fast. I had a ton going on, and everything felt way too super important. My schedule was packed, I was finishing my album, and I was dating Sean for the first time. I was so in love with him that it was actually terrifying. I wasn't getting enough rest, let alone self-care. I didn't know how to say, hang on guys, I need a day off. But what's so weird, and maybe it's not even weird, I guess it's just anxiety, is where the anxiety took my mind. Before I started meditating, I was prone to, like I've said before, dramatics. I would take the slightest negative thought and my mind would run wild with stories and scenarios. And I'm not talking about Shakespeare in the Park type of drama. I'm talking about a low-budget Cuban telenovela mixed with a end-of-the-world sci-fi film. Over-the-top inner drama happening in my head, nonstop. A lot of the time, this would start with a what-if scenario. Just a little seed of anxiety or insecurity, and that seed would grow into this very unpleasant, giant forest of nightmares that was paralyzing. When I was meeting up with Sean, my mind would go, what if we run out of things to talk about and I ruin it and I lose the love of my life? Before a writing session with the talented producer, it would be, what if I bomb it and they think I'm useless and it's the end of everything? And the craziest was that performance on Saturday Night Live. The scenario in my mind was, what if I forget the lyrics on live television? Now I have to explain something. By the time a singer is performing a song on SNL, you've performed it hundreds of times. At least hundreds. You know the words better than the national anthem, better than your own name. And there aren't that many words in a song, so what are the chances you're going to forget any of them? This was my mind going to some very irrational places. But it was a time when I didn't have the tools to trust myself with my own emotions. I don't know how, but I managed to get through the performance on SNL. Actually, my manager said it was one of my best shows ever. But I felt like I was barely holding it together before I went on stage. Beyoncé says that nerves are energy. I guess I found a way to channel all my anxious energy into my performance. A short while later, I discovered meditation, and my practice has created a whole new relationship with my emotions. What I was doing that night in New York was shutting down my emotional reality. I was scared to experience my own emotions because they felt so intense. But mindfulness is teaching me that emotions aren't something I need to solve or overthink my way out of. They're something I need to feel. They're a totally normal, super predictable part of being human. And that's great news because my anxiety made me feel really weird sometimes. When it's raining outside, your instinct isn't to alleviate the rain. When there's a downpour, just grab a book and snuggle in a nook. Ooh, that just rhymed. Or get an umbrella and go for a stroll. Same with emotions. However I'm feeling is how I'm feeling. So instead of shutting it down or being scared of it, I'm learning how to say yes. If I'm anxious before a performance, I just acknowledge it. Okay, looks like I'm feeling a bit of anxiety because this performance is really important to me. If I'm nervous before hanging out with new people, I'm just like, all right, I'm in a room full of people I don't know, and I'm feeling a little uncomfortable and insecure. When you allow yourself to feel however you're feeling, the good news is, it fades. That's the thing. When a kid is scared that there's a monster in her bedroom, all you gotta do is flick on the lights, and the fear disappears. It's not a monster, it's a teddy bear on a pile of laundry that's kinda lumpy, with like a giant hat on top that made it seem especially scary in the dark. That's all we're doing here, folks. Just flicking on the lights and realizing, oh yeah, that's just my old tendency to catastrophize when I'm nervous. All good. Sometimes the mind is gonna say, what if it's a disaster? Okay, mind. But what if it's not? What if this is just a very human experience of being anxious when something counts? What if your fears are overblown and the monster is just a teddy bear with a giant hat on some lumpy laundry? Thanks for listening to this one. This is Camila, and I hope the next time you're going through some stuff, you'll flick on the lights and just say yes to however you're feeling. I want to try something with you. It's called metacognition. We're going to think about our own thoughts. One day not long ago, I was thinking about my thoughts. All the thoughts that run through my mind. Not any one thought in particular. I was thinking about the sum total of all of them. We have this constant internal chatter. Some people call it inner monologue. Some call it self-talk. Just think about all your self-talk. All those thoughts and desires and insecurities and epiphanies. Imagine for a second it was all written down chronologically. Like a stenographer in your head had been typing it down since day one, when you were a baby and your thoughts consisted of poop, food, and love. I was thinking about the volumes and volumes of chatter, year after year. And I realized something. So much of my self-talk is negative. I'm living with a person inside my own head who is constantly critical. And we all are. It's in our nature, and it's in our culture. There are constant reminders that there's something missing from who you are. It's this voice that always brings us back to, but I'm not good enough. I'll be better when I achieve this. I'm lacking. I'm nothing special. I'm not there yet, it says. My question is, who is this person inside my head? And why is she so thoroughly dissatisfied with who I am? If you think about all this negativity, it's like a background program that's always been running on your operating system. In fact, it's been running so long you don't even notice it anymore. You just live with it. And here's the thing about that program. It's malware. That voice is always pushing our self-acceptance into the future. There will be plenty of time for self-love when I achieve enlightenment, and I'm not a crazy human, it explains. A lot of us want to be someone tomorrow because we're scared of being who we are today. But if we can let go of who we want to become and sit into who we are, we would be really proud to be that person, this person. It just takes a lot of work and some courage. Basically, we need to rewrite the program because who you are is not a hopelessly flawed person. You are not defective or unsatisfactory. Who you really are is amazing. I'm talking right now, the person listening to these words, hearing my voice. Not some version of you in a hypothetical future, once you have the perfect relationship or bank account or body. You, today. The person with the heart as big as the moon. The one who's fighting to care and love and be a better person to the people around you. And I'm talking about the whole package. Everything from your dreams to your nightmares, your abilities and idiosyncrasies. It's all you, and it's all good. You are a human being, doing what a human being does in this weird adventure through consciousness. One day is a triumph, the next is a tragedy. It's all part of this life. So once again, but not for the last time, who you are is not an inadequate person. You are not wrong or incomplete. Who you are is amazing. If you thought that I must have the most cool and collected self-talk ever, it couldn't be further from the truth. It's crazy up there. My relationship with myself is complicated, just like yours. But I'm doing the work, trying to rewrite the program. That's all we can do. This is Camila, wishing you poop, food, and love, and reminding you how amazing you are. If you surrender to the wind, you can ride it. Toni Morrison. So back in 2019, I began working on my second album. I took a trip to Nashville for a writing session with two incredible musicians, Amy and Jordan, shout out. So I show up at Amy's cute studio apartment in downtown Nashville. I step inside and there's a piano, a guitar, and a mic. Amy and Jordan are super friendly, the place is cozy, and the whole setup is kind of low-key and perfect. I came to this writing session super prepared, like obsessively prepared. When we kick it off, the first thing I do is bust out my computer and start going through my ideas, and I've got a detailed plan for how I want the session to go down, with a list of lyrics and song concepts. But here's the thing, right? Creativity doesn't care about your plans. Sadly, it is unimpressed by how great your bullet points are. When we start working on my ideas, the writing session starts to go sideways and nothing is really happening. Everything we tried felt flat, and we just couldn't get into a groove. So the three of us just talked for a while. At the time, I was in my first serious relationship, so I started talking about my dad, who I loved so much and who at the time felt protective of me because I was kind of growing up. And as I shared more about how incredible my dad is, I was getting really emotional. Amy said, "Oh my God, we got to make a song about that." And I was like, no, I have all these other ideas we need to get to. That was just my, need to control. No need for spontaneity, you guys. Camila's got it all figured out. What? Everything is all detailed on my computer. Why would we possibly take a detour into this totally moving, emotionally powerful source of inspiration? See, that instinct I had, the impulse to maintain control, that's what I call my safety net. Good old, unhelpful safety net. When you're traveling into emotionally unknown places, the mind wants to feel safe, to have a sense of control. My plan for the writing session, that was a safety net, to avoid the discomfort of the creative process. But there is no safety net. It's like you're in a little plane high above the clouds, and you're about to skydive for the first time. You're in the back with the doors swung open and the wind rushing in. You look down into the clouds, and it's hazy down there. You don't know what's beneath those clouds, and you can't know because you've never been there before. Nobody has. There is no control, and there is no certainty. You gotta take a deep breath, open your heart, and jump. Easier said than done, I know. Amy and Jordan are not feeling the safety net. They want to hear more about my dad. Amy starts playing chords on the piano, and I start kind of freestyling melodies. I ask for the mic, and these lyrics start coming out. The song's coming out, and it is the definition of surrender. The song kind of pours out of me. Honestly, it was like the control and planning and pressure I'd carried with me into the session. I let go of that and made room for the song. And the song was able to go where it wanted to without me trying to get in the way. But then my safety net comes up again, of course, and says, Camila, why don't you try 2 other chord progressions and see which one works best? Amy and Jordan are like, what? Are you kidding? Follow your instincts. This is great. So we kept writing the song. And when I walked out of the studio, I wasn't sure what happened in there, but I knew it felt really organic and really good. Later, I played the song for my mom, and we both absolutely loved it. That was my song, First Man, and what you hear on the album is basically what happened that day. It just arrived in one big burst of inspiration because my mind and my need for control and planning didn't get in the way. I've learned that it's so important to follow that instinct inside you. It comes from your body, and it's something you can't explain, just following what feels true for you in the moment. It comes from the free fall. You have to surrender to that thing that's bigger than you and smarter than you. Pablo Picasso said that the chief enemy of creativity is good sense. Every time I'm writing a song, it's almost like I need to turn off my mind. When I don't do that, it sucks. When I try to control the creative process, it feels forced. You can hear the tension. But when I let go and follow my instincts, that's when I connect with the deeper forces of creativity. The key to this whole thing is reckless abandon. Creativity is an act of surrender. You're falling into the unknown, where the emotions are powerful. It's going to be terrifying and exhilarating all at the same time. And this isn't just about creativity. Think about love. Being in love is the opposite of being in control. It's actually terrifying. Art and love and life, these are fragile things. You can't bear hug a butterfly. You can't even touch a butterfly because it's this tiny, delicate, beautiful thing. All you can do is let it be, watch it flutter by, and enjoy it. Because that little thing is about to fly off and disappear forever. So what's true in a studio apartment in downtown Nashville is true far beyond. Living life is like writing a song. You don't know where it's heading. You can't know. There's no way to control it or predict it. All you can do is open your arms, open your heart, and jump. Hey guys, this is Camila, and today we're going to spend some time in one of my favorite places, reality. A while back, I did something that I think we've all done a few too many times. I reached for my phone, opened up a social media app, and I proceeded to lose 90 minutes of my life. Honestly, an hour and a half goes by and all I do is stare, scroll, and occasionally double tap. What was so compelling that it justified 1/3 of my afternoon? I'll tell you. It was toddlers on trampolines, a lot of lip syncing, and a dog sailing across a swimming pool on a surfboard. It has become a universal experience for all of us. Not the surfing dog part, the social media part. Look, I'm with you. We've all been there. You finally put down your phone, and it's like you're coming out of a trance. You look around all disoriented, wondering how a chunk of your day just disappeared. We need a word for that, by the way. The experience of losing a block of time on social media. Can we get that going? Maybe like a black scroll, because it's a black hole where you scroll. Okay, we'll think of something better. Look, social media is one of those temptations that's very understandable. It feels good to connect with people. It's validating to put a piece of content out there and have people like it. I'm into photo dumps myself nowadays. And there's sort of a fascination with peering into other people's lives and seeing what they're up to. Plus, hey, dogs on surfboards. Chef's kiss. But we pick up that phone at our own peril. There's a downside to social media if we don't create a healthy relationship with it. Think of your phone as a portal into an alternate reality. It seems fun at first. Everyone is dancing and goofing around, and the lighting is incredible. But as you spend more time there, you start to see a darker side. It brings up feelings of envy and comparison. Like there's something wrong with your life because, hey, you're not as happy and successful as everyone else seems to be. Or maybe it becomes a source of anger because of all the headlines reminding you of the stupidity and injustice in the world. And no matter what it does to your emotional state, social media is a place where time can just slip away. What I'm realizing is you need to have some boundaries. Otherwise, it can consume far too much of your life. That's where mindfulness becomes so important. In meditation practice, you're observing your thoughts, emotions, and sensations, and learning how to create some distance from them. If you look for it, there's a little gap in between a thought and your reaction to it, an emotion and your reaction to it, an impulse and your reaction to it. Within that gap, there's an opportunity to pause and decide how you want to respond. So when you feel that urge to pull out your phone and jump on social media, you don't need to act on it. Next time that happens to you, which I'm assuming will be like 14 seconds from now, and for me too, here's something you can try. Instead of automatically pulling out your phone, just pause and sit with that feeling. Allow yourself to experience that impulse and the discomfort of not acting on it. You can even get curious about it, like you're a researcher who's studying the effects of social media. You can be like, okay, I'm feeling an urge to jump on TikTok. Isn't it interesting how there's almost this electrical pulse going from my brain to my hand, and I'm mindlessly reaching for my phone? And wow, this is fascinating. Here I am in the gap between impulse and action. And even with that awareness, it feels almost impossible to resist. This is the same thing that I go through with cookies and ice cream. Viktor Frankl shared some really powerful wisdom about this. He said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space lies our freedom and power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and freedom." A few years ago, I didn't even know there was a gap between stimulus and response. It was all one big swirling tornado. I would think about pulling out my phone, and boom, I'm all over Instagram, like a cyborg sent from the future to locate the perfect Game of Thrones meme. But I've been working on it. I'm starting to spend more time in the gap, the sweet, sweet, peaceful gap. And as I focus on this more and more, the gap gets wider. First, it's as narrow as a closet. With some work, it's a backyard. And then a field. And before long, it's the state of Nebraska. Nebraska being one of the wider states. Listen, I'm not saying social media is evil. We're social creatures, so whatever helps us connect has an upside. And it's fun to entertain each other. I got no problem with people who dress up in Princess Leia cosplay costumes and do parkour to death metal music. Some of my best friends are into cosplay death metal parkour. I'm just saying, there is a balance to be had. When I really think about how I use social media, a lot of it is wasted time I'll never get back and wasted negative emotions. Personally, I'd rather pass the afternoon in the real world doing real things. Hanging out with my family, making music, and being present. And if I want to watch a surfing dog, I've got a talented dog of my own, thank you very much. Shout out to Tarzan, your mama loves you. Look, I'm not saying I got this all figured out. I still use social media. What can I say? I love to express myself and stay connected. And sometimes I struggle with it, but I'm starting to practice better boundaries. I'm learning to protect my time and my peace. I got it. Tap trance. Like tap dance, but trance. Because you get lost in a trance where you tap. Anyway, this is your friend Camila. You can follow me on Instagram at, no, just kidding. I would never do that. That would be super hypocritical. Let's try that again. This is Camila, wishing you growth and freedom and a trip to Nebraska. Be mindful. Build a few boundaries and protect your peace. Step into that gap and hang out for a while. Hello, hello. This is Camila. And today, my friend, we are heading to the dance floor. My relationship with dance has been a journey. Growing up, I was not a dancer. I always felt like I had two left feet. Plus, I was super shy as a kid. So you were not going to catch me trying this whole moving to music experiment. But then I joined the group Fifth Harmony, and my career as a performer began. At first, I remember telling the other members of the group, you guys, I can't dance. I can't even wear heels. I don't dance. Honestly, no dance skills happening over here. But then, Fifth Harmony sort of went in the direction of, well, we're a dance group now. And I was like, okay, sounds like we're a dance group now. I guess I gotta try this. Gradually, I learned which was my right foot and which was my left. And since I started dancing, I haven't really stopped. Because it's so fun. I feel my most playful and confident when I'm dancing. You can't not have fun when you're dancing. It's scientifically impossible. But dance is more than fun. It's wise in its own way. Dance is like a magic trick that gets you out of your head. The mind is like a journey that's always traveling to a new place, never staying at the same location for more than a couple minutes. Think about your day so far, and just imagine the hundreds of thoughts you've had. Fixations, frustrations, and fantasies. In the morning, your mind is off on a space voyage to the planet of the unicorns. By lunchtime, it has become the unicorn apocalypse, and you're one of only 2 unicorns left. Plus, you're super annoyed because the other unicorn keeps pronouncing your name Camila Cabello. So much of the time, your thoughts are somewhere else. But no matter where your head is at, your body is always in your body. Here and now. Always. This is one of the things that's been so powerful for me about mindfulness. In meditation, you're learning how to bring your attention into the present moment, often using your breath as a tool. By focusing on the breath, you're bringing your awareness into physical sensation and into the moment. But there are other ways to get out of your head, and one of them is actually dance. Think about it this way. Dance doesn't happen in the mind. It happens in the body. It's your body doing its own thing to the music. So if I'm having a bad day or feeling distracted, I just put on some music for 15 minutes and I basically just shake my booty for a while. Or sometimes I start my day with a dance workout, and I feel so much better after, every time. It frees up all that tense energy that's bound up in my body. It just kind of shakes things loose and gets me out of my thoughts, which is very, very good for me. My acting teacher says that joy is the highest frequency. If that's true, then dance is probably the quickest way to stimulate joy. In fact, it's one of the most human, instinctive things we can do. You take a 2-year-old and put on some Whitney Houston, and there is no training or explanation needed. They instantly get how fun it is to bounce and shake to the music. There's a whole history of music waiting for you. Thousands of songs out there waiting for you to press play. Whatever makes you move your thing the most. Chuck Berry, Cyndi Lauper, or Beyonce. So if you're stuck in your head, if you're feeling tense, or if things are getting really ugly on the planet of the unicorns, there's a hack to get back to your body. And you don't need to show up in Times Square with a pair of Adidas. You don't need a tutu and a stretch bar. You don't need to be a professional dancer. This dance thing can happen in the privacy of your own home, with the curtains drawn and music on. It's about you, the music, and the moment. And don't feel like you're lacking dance skills. Those 2 words don't even belong together, unless there's air quotes involved. This is not about step ball changes or hip to thigh coordination. Dance does not belong to the skillful. It belongs to the joyful. This is Camila, finishing this recording so I can put on Super Freak up in here. Keep your groove on, you beautiful Super Freak dancing unicorn. See you on the dance floor. This is Camila Cabello. Please stay tuned for a message from outer space. This world has a way of making you feel unwelcome. Doors that are closed, judgmental people who dismiss you, authority figures who don't get you. It can feel like we're not part of the right club or group, like we don't say the right things or look the right way. It can feel like we don't fit in anywhere. Have you ever felt like that? Like you just don't belong? I've totally felt that way before. I can feel like an imposter in my own life. Listen, I've been petrified to just walk into a room. Like whatever I say is going to sound stupid. Like at any moment, people in the room are going to find out that I'm weird and something's wrong with me. And no matter how hard I try, I'm never going to truly feel like I fit in. Well, I have a message for you. Not from me. A message from the universe itself. A message from the beginning of time. And here it is. You belong here. Let's imagine that aliens landed on the planet and took a look around. First of all, these are bound to be advanced creatures if they've traveled across interstellar space. Intellectually and emotionally advanced. So let's assume that they have highly evolved emotional intelligence. Kindness, compassion, and empathy beyond comprehension. Basically my mom. Now, a couple of things about these aliens. First of all, let's just consider what they look like. I assume they have evolved to look adorable and hilarious. Because again, advanced species. I'm thinking they have big friendly eyes that blink exactly every 3 seconds. I assume they have antennas. Furry antennas, not the scaly kind, those are weird. And I'm picturing fuzzy pom-poms at the end of their antennas, just dangling there like ornaments on a Christmas tree. Okay, now let's say that it's your turn to meet with the aliens because, they're doing the rounds and getting to know everyone. You sit down with the aliens, they look at you, and you begin to realize that you are in the presence of the deepest love you have ever felt. No judgment, no fear from these creatures. They exude a vibe of pure compassion, and it radiates off them like warmth. You feel so comfortable and cared for, you decide to tell them the secret you've carried around for ages but never told a soul. You don't feel like you belong in this world. How would they react? How would they see that situation? You don't feel like you belong, really. You. You who shares a common ancestry with everything on this earth that has ever lived. You who has every right and reason to be here. Here's how I think the aliens would respond. They would look at you, a little bewildered, then look at each other and back to you, still bewildered. They clear their adorable purple little throats, and the first thing they would say is something highly evolved, because they're emotionally advanced. They always say a special word before saying anything else. The word is GURP, and it means, what I'm about to say comes from a place of love. So, GURP, they say. And then they look at you in the eyes, smile a smile you didn't think was possible, and they say, you belong here. You are not a fraud. You are not a loser in this world or an imposter in this life. It only feels that way sometimes. You are the living, breathing, blinking, dreaming product of billions of years of evolution on this planet. You wouldn't tell a koala chilling on a tree that he's a total fraud. This world belongs to you, and you to it. From the perspective of the aliens, you are as much a part of this earth as the Pacific Ocean. Granted, you are a lot of things. You're a biological program pursuing survival. This is true. You're a carbonous blob of mashed potatoes that has evolved to the point of consciousness. Also true. And you are a total miracle. Here on a mission to be a force of love, like a beam of light sent from the sun. No matter where you find yourself, look around. Like I'm talking about right now. Wherever you are, take a breath of fresh air. Feel the breeze on your skin and let it sink in. This is your home. You are a part of it. These alien visitors, they don't care what's on the cover of your passport. They don't care who or how you love. They don't care what your face looks like or what your voice sounds like. All they can see as they sit there staring back at you with their big, blinking eyes is a unique and precious being. You're an expression of the boundless creativity and mystery of this universe. who happens to wear sneakers and listen to Beyonce. You are of here. You are from here. You belong here. So with that cleared up, I guess the aliens would move on to the next lonely civilization in the universe to spread their intergalactic message of belonging. You say goodbye to the aliens, and they say goodbye back. Oh, after saying "Gerp," everyone would exchange GURPS and say their goodbyes, and the aliens would soar off in their spacemobile. And as the spacemobile fades off into the sky, you catch one last glimpse of a bumper sticker slapped across the back. And it's a simple reminder. You belong here. To quote the OG space alien himself, Alan Watts, you didn't come into this world. You came out of it, like a wave from the ocean. You are not a stranger here. This is Camila, GURPing at you from my spacemobile. May you be calm. May you be strong. May you know that you belong. We've been talking about meditation, so in this session, I thought we'd try it together. This will be a guided meditation that I created with Tamara Levitt, whose voice I hear literally every day. In our day-to-day lives, we're often so busy doing things that we don't actually notice what's happening inside of us. There's all this stimulation that happens in our outer world. We walk down the street and we're experiencing all kinds of stimulation. Action, lights, colors, sounds. But what about what's happening on the inside? The inner world of our thoughts and emotions. There's so much happening in there that we don't notice. So that's what we're going to work on today. We're going to turn our attention inward and practice one of the foundational tools of mindfulness: awareness. To start, you can close your eyes if that's comfortable. Or if it feels better, you can keep them open in a relaxed way, where you're kind of gazing gently in a downward direction. And let's get settled on the ground or on your chair. Now just take some time to settle your thoughts in your body and feel what it's like to not have to do anything. If you want, you can focus on your breath coming in and out of your body. That can help focus your attention. Or you can focus on sensations in your body or the sounds you're hearing right now. Really, all we want to do while we sit is to be aware of what's happening from moment to moment and not make a big deal about it. If there's thoughts, let there be thoughts. If there's emotions, let there be emotions. Just observe. That's all we're doing here. We're sitting and observing. If your mind is active, that's okay. If you're feeling restless, that's okay too. There's really no pressure to get this right. Whatever comes up, we're just noticing and trying to breathe into it. So maybe for another minute, let's just sit together. Now let's slowly bring our attention back to the room, or wherever you are. And if your eyes are closed, You can open them now. Great. That's it. We did a mini meditation. Tamara, I hope I made you proud. What we worked on today might seem simple, but the benefits, especially if you do it consistently, are pretty powerful. Meditation is about getting to know yourself in a new way, observing and understanding your thought patterns, reactions, and emotional tendencies. The goal here isn't to create an experience. It's to observe and feel your experience, whatever that is, and to be with yourself just as you are. And when you finish your sit, the idea is to bring that awareness with you into your day, so that when you're eating a meal or chatting with a friend, you're more present. When we have more awareness of how we're feeling, when we're sad, or lonely, or frustrated, we're able to be kinder to ourselves and meet challenges with more ease. It's a pretty cool practice. This is Camila. Thanks for being with me. I'm wishing you another moment of silence and breath very soon. Hey guys, this is Camila, and today I want to share the ultimate antidote for negativity. My parents have been a huge inspiration for me. Both of them came from a lot of struggle. While my mom was growing up in Cuba, there were food shortages. So there were rations of food, like this amount of eggs per month. Sometimes there wasn't hot water or electricity. My dad had a lot of challenges too. He didn't have much, and there wasn't any certainty about the future. This gave my parents a deeply thankful outlook. Through all the challenges, they were just happy to be alive. My dad always says, other than death, everything is figure-outable. No matter what, my parents have this incredible attitude about everything. And if I had to sum it up in a single word, it would be gratitude. Gratitude didn't come naturally to me. This world and this culture is always trying to convince us that we don't have enough. Not enough stuff, not enough success, not enough going on in our lives. But just thinking about what my parents went through earlier in their lives, I've been able to connect with gratitude. I think about how much they risked and sacrificed so that I could have a better life. And it's like an instant reality check. If I've got my health and a bit of security and literally this breath I'm breathing right now, that's a lot. As I got more interested in mindfulness, I discovered an insight that has strengthened my experience of gratitude. I came across a masterclass on the Calm app called Gratitude by Tamara Levitt. She explains that gratitude isn't just a passing emotional state. It's a practice, a skill that you can cultivate. So how do we do that? Well, there are a lot of ways to practice gratitude. There are gratitude meditations, and you can check out lots of them on Calm. There's journaling, where you write down all the things you're grateful for. And there are practices like I do a morning and nightly prayer, or like the gratitude countdown, which Tamara talks about in her masterclass. The thing about gratitude is that it's the objective truth. It's not positive thinking or fake it till you make it. There's a voice inside your head that compares you to other people, and it says that you don't measure up. It tells you that you're inadequate and that your whole life is lacking. But none of that is objectively true. What's true is that this life is a miracle. I know you have struggles, and I'm not taking them away. Those struggles might be really heavy right now. But there's a bigger story also happening. If you're here and you're listening to this session and you're taking this breath, that's something. And the more you focus on that something, it starts to feel like a lot. We're not ignoring our problems or struggles. They're real. We're turning our attention in a different direction, to the good. So let's do that right now. Think about your own life and contemplate what you have to be grateful for. It could be anything. The person who texted you last night. The banana you're going to snack on later. Your favorite hoodie that fits you perfectly. All these things that we have, we don't often think about. Tamara says that gratitude is a love letter to your life that you need to write each day. And that's important, each day. It doesn't matter if I think it, write it down, or say it to Tarzan, my dog. But I'm trying to make it a daily practice. Watch how easy it is. I'll do my gratitude practice right now. I'm grateful for Tarzan, my dog, the sound of the ocean, the feeling of the breeze on my face, for my parents, my family, and my friends. And I'm grateful for this experience with you. I can't see you. I might never meet you, but we've shared this time together, connecting across time and space. And I'm so grateful for that. Thanks for listening. This is Camila, holding you in my heart and wishing you everything.